Te reo ererangi o te mānia. This episode was produced in Otatahi by Plains Media, with support from New Zealand On Air.
Kia ora, and welcome to Emergence News from the Plains Media Studios here in Christchurch City in the South Island of New Zealand, Aotearoa. And first up, let's welcome the only New Zealander I know who actually enjoys public speaking. He actually enjoys standing in front of a crowd of people and speaking, because most of us, I don't know how you were, Peter, but when I was at high school and it came to the speech in front of the class, virtually everybody would rather hide behind a bush than stand up the front of the class and speak. But you, John, you love it. You enjoy it. You put your arm up and volunteer, don't you?
Yeah, but I didn't like it at high school. I don't know where it's come from. I was in the police for a long time. Then I had a career in sales, and it kind of developed there. But I also found that if I believed what I was talking about, then that was the impetus.
Yeah, but you don't need to employ an MC for your wedding. You just do it yourself.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, give me a microphone, I'll just go crazy. Put me in front of a group of strangers and I'll just fire up. I don't know what it is. It's part of my
but it's very
part of
unusual,
my mix.
Because most Kiwis would, as I say, would rather hide behind a bush than do public speaking and with on stage with the spotlight on them. Yeah, we'd rather run for cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are unusual. You're the only Kiwi I know that.
You're not the only person that said I was unusual.
Also in the studio joining us today is the scientist in the corner, as you say, John. Peter, welcome.
Hello, Nigel. Thank you.
And before you ask me how I am, I was doing some painting yesterday, and look, there are muscles in both my legs and my right arm and right shoulder that I haven't felt in a long time.
Serves you right for trying to paint with your legs.
Oh, dear. Right, here at Plains Media, there are over 150 community groups and program makers that are producing shows on air that become podcasts available on a variety of platforms such as YouTube, Spotify and Substack, and we're in that category. How did you get involved in the media, John? Where did that start for you? Was that when you came back to New Zealand from being overseas?
Yeah. But when I was travelling overseas, I did things that I wouldn't normally have done at home, job-wise. I better clarify that. Work-wise. And I ended up working in quite odd shops and kind of funky places like that. So I started developing a real joy with working with people and talking to people. And I've always been a little bit of a clown, so that kind of helps. Mm. But I came back to New Zealand and I, as I told you, I'd fractured some vertebrae in my spine. I had to lie down on the floor of the plane to get home. And so I kind of went through that, whatever I do from now on can't have a physical component, even though I'm quite physical now. But at the time, it was quite frightening for me. So I got work in sales, and I found myself having to do sales, all right? So I started reading books. I read Napoleon Hill. I read Think and Grow Rich. There's a whole lot of really interesting personal development stuff that comes out of that sales arena. So I just started developing some skills on how to work a room and how to present and all that sort of stuff.
And you got into television for a while?
I worked in television after I left the police back in 82. Worked in television for 82 to 84 before I went overseas. But I was in a technical role there.
That's interesting because I got into radio in 81.
Yeah.
About the same time.
Yeah.
Broadcasting, yeah. It's interesting because you don't, look where it's led us. We've got three ordinary New Zealand guys sitting in a studio at a radio station with a microphone, and we're talking spirituality and politics. You know, I often wonder, how did we get, and this is, you know, the seeds of that goes back a long way. For you, Peter, it goes back, 37 years. I was looking online yesterday. This radio station opened in 1988. Now, was it later that year you first started?
Yes, I think it was.
As a program maker?
Yeah. Well, yes, we were just doing the full moon meditation in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you doing that on your own or with others?
Yeah, with my... occasionally I got John Bird helping out where I was somewhere else, but basically I did it myself, yeah.
Yeah, because when the station first started all those years ago, they were broadcasting 3 hours a day. Well, now it's a 24/7, 7 days a week operation.
Yeah.
And was there a gap between you presenting that meditation program and starting Emergence News?
Yes, I did that nearly 20 years for the full moon meditation.
Did you?
And
Goodness.
so there was, I forget how many years, there might have been 2 or 3 years between we started up with this group now doing Emergence News.
And was that Shafia's idea?
Yeah, it was Shafia's idea. She had got the idea from somewhere else, Peter. I can't remember where she picked it up from. Maybe one of the Wellington or
yeah,
Auckland
probably
groups.
Wellington, wouldn't it be? I think.
Yeah. And she came to a group of us who were doing transmission meditation and said, let's do a radio program.
Yes, because I remember joining the meditation group here in Christchurch, and the three of you had already been presenting Emergence News for probably a year, maybe a year and a half, 18 months.
Yeah.
All right.
And Shafia was the real mover and shaker, wasn't she?
Yes, that's right, she was.
Yeah, she's very good at coming up with creative ideas.
Yes. Well, it was Wanda Morell that pushed me into doing this program, and I thought she was going to join me, but no, it wasn't the idea at all. But she was leading the meditation group on transmission meditation.
That's right. I went to that transmission group.
Yeah.
Wanda's place.
Yeah.
For those that might be listening to this program for the first time, when you say transmission meditation, that's not your typical mantra meditation, is it?
No, I do TM. I do transcendental meditation. That's where I first started. And transcendental meditation, so Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, my interpretation is that teaches you to let go. That teaches you to stand back. That teaches you some detachment, actually. Where transmission, the meditation released by Benjamin Graham, is a focused meditation, and it's about the use of energy. And so
it's a service meditation.
Yeah, so they are quite different. So the TM, the transcendental meditation from Maharishi, is probably more of a personal meditation, although they have a group effect that they recognise. And they have a TM City program, which I've done also, which is about the group flying, where you actually take off, leave the floor during your meditation. But transmission is about focus and attention and
the masters do the heavy
work.
lifting.
Transmission is karma yoga, so yoga of service, and laya yoga of energy. Sure. So they're quite different things. But, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was a 3.2 degree initiate. He was the real deal, no doubt about it. And his techniques are amazing, fabulous.
Peter, what type of meditation were you teaching and presenting on the radio in the early days here at Plains Media?
We were just using the Master's message from Share International a lot of the time, and then pulling out various aspects from Benjamin Graham's early books and that sort of thing. And so really it was just to give an idea, and it was only a short program. It wasn't long. It was just more or less connecting with the energies of the full moon, where the energies of the world are concentrated at that time in the full moon period. So we know that the energies are much higher than the spiritual energies coming through. So that's when it was important.
Now, we sometimes tease you about being the scientist. What is it about the story of Maitreya that appeals to the scientifically minded?
Well, it's encapsulated in this trying to get beyond the materialistic viewpoint and come to the energies that are apparent to anyone who's relatively sensitive, that lie behind the material world. And it's really our focus of our soul. It's the focus of our whole being. Really, is to make known these subtle energies and why we're here. It's basically knowing that the soul has created the vehicle that we use, our physical body, our emotional body, and it has created it for the purpose of manifesting in the world the energies of the Lord of the world.
And you often talk about the Master DK, the Tibetan,
yes.
The Masters of Wisdom. Now, he's one of the more scientifically minded masters, isn't he? Well, they're all scientists, yes. Aren't they? But he writes about a lot of the science behind our planet and the solar system and that's cosmos, right. Like the Cosmic Fire. Now, that's a book you've been reading for a while this year? Oh, yes.
Well, I've read it in the early days, but when I go back and reread it, I realise I didn't really read it beforehand. I was skipping over it and, because it's very dense with information.
It sure is. I was having a look online about Cosmic Fire last night, and I didn't realise that the book was dedicated to Helena Blavatsky.
Yeah.
And the title is regarded as, that book, The Cosmic Fire, is regarded as the most timeless, profound, and least understood book that Alice Bailey wrote.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because it highlights solar fire, the fire of the mind, because, of course, that's the dominant energy that needs to be understood, isn't it?
Well, they say that God is a consuming fire, and that's how they describe him.
Just getting back to science, Benjamin Creme had a conversation where, and I'm not quoting him word for word, where he talked about religion and science as being two separate platforms.
Yes.
But heading in the same direction.
That's right.
So when I say religion, I mean let's lump in spirituality, right? So spirituality and science are currently two different platforms,
yes.
but they are heading towards the same understanding.
That's right. They're meshing together.
They are meshing together even now, and so. What we talk about science as a completely disconnected, mechanistic approach to life is actually quickly grasping that there is energy and that humans are energetic forms as well as material forms. Yeah. And so those two platforms of religion and spirituality and science, although apparently quite diverse and quite separate, are actually heading towards each other to become the platform for human development, which is the science of life.
Yes,
and when you start reading DK or you start listening to Benjamin Creme, there is that distinct overlap between what we call spirituality and what we call science.
That's
because,
right.
Peter, it is energy.
Yes, well, this is where it starts. I mean, it starts at the more subtle levels and comes down, condenses onto the physical plane as mechanical aspects of our life, but the reality is that the subtle energies are where it starts. That they actually form the original idea, and that's what we're doing today, is trying to bring in the aspect of the spiritual down to the dense physical and realise it's all part of the one.
It's the ultimate goal, is spiritualising the matter.
Yes, it is. And this is why I think there's a pushback against education, there's a pushback against science, there's a pushback against research. And I understand that research and science has been used to manipulate humanity. So I understand there is a suspicion around science. And certainly science has been used by corporates to extract wealth from humanity. So, but generally speaking, science is a positive thing on this planet. But I think it scares a lot of people because it's going to places where 10 years ago we never thought it could.
The Cosmic Fire, it's a 1,300-page book, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
By Alice Bailey. And it offers the spiritual approach to subjects such as the path of spiritual evolution, talks about the spiritual hierarchy, training and meditation as a form of service, John, what you were talking about earlier.
Discipline and disciple come from the same root word.
Yes, that's right. The teaching on the 7 rays, the new psychology of the soul, teaching on esoteric astrology. They're all fascinating subjects, aren't they? The spiritual approach to all those subjects.
It's a science that we don't understand. It's like we've talked before about planet Earth as a spaceship in a flotilla of other spaceships flying through space. And, you know, we're 200 nations on this spaceship. You could call us the crew members. What do we know about our spaceship? Nothing. We don't know how it runs. We don't know how it powers itself. We don't know where it's going. We don't know anything about it, but we're quite happy to chop it up and sell it to each other. You know, so there's a science there that we have to understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cosmic Fire goes into the energies that make the planets rotate, and it starts right at the atomic level. It's how each atom starts to move, and it's similar to how a planet starts to move. And we've got all these energies coming in, and they're all involved in making a planet spin.
Yeah.
You know, and this is sort of the subtle energies behind, you know, the science says that, you know, a planet started to spin originally, and it's still spinning because it originally started to spin.
Yeah.
And it's not reaching enough, you know, friction to slow it down. But, you know, there's more to it than that. It's a spiritual energy.
There's a quote from that book, which I just want to quickly read to you guys, just to see if you can help me understand it. Each solar system is the manifestation of the energy and life of a great cosmic existence, whom we call, for a lack of a better term, a solar logos. Now, the word logos has several interpretations, doesn't it? For example, in the New Testament, Mark, Luke and John, they all refer to the logos as the word of God.
That's the word, yeah.
But we have a planet logos, don't we? And we have a solar system logos, don't we? It's great to get your head around this. It helps us make sense of the environment that we're travelling in.
So I love the idea, Benjamin Crem's idea of macrocosm and microcosm. So as in the microcosm, the human form, so it is in the macrocosm. So our human form is a physical body with energetic sheaths, emotions, mental and causal bodies, right? So is the planet. The planet's a physical body with energetic sheaths. The human body has chakras or energy centres. Yep, so does the planet. Okay, let's step out a bit wider. The human body has a soul. So does the planet, right? So the planetary soul we would call God or Logos. Right. Now, each of the planets in this flotilla going through space have life on them and have a logos for each planet. Each planet is an energy centre in the body of the solar system. The solar system has a logos or a god. So as I have chakras in my body, so does the logos of the solar system have chakras in that body. So I'd love that idea of how we operate is on a cosmic template.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can call the being that is our planet, we can call them God, right? Comfortable with that term. But the solar system has a God.
They are one.
Yes.
This is what they say, there is only one God. They are part of that one God.
Right.
You know.
Who is part of the next God.
Yes.
Who is part of the next God.
That's right, yes. And we are an aspect of that God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Each and every one of us.
Now, I remember you saying, Peter, that the planet Sirius is the alter ego of Earth. Is that right?
Yes, it is. It's our energies come through originally, of course, from the Great Bear constellation. And
well, that's certainly not part of this solar system.
No, but it's part of our galaxy. And so it comes via the Pleiades, who are the sisters of the Great Bear, and then they come through Sirius. And so, you know, and they come via a constellation. So these energies coming in, streaming in from everywhere. And these are what makes this whole system work.
Now, those energies are the 7 rays?
Yes. Yes, well, the 7 sacred planets of our solar system are the 7 chakras that John's just been talking about of our solar system.
And we are a 7 solar system, not a 10 solar system.
Really?
Right? So we have 7 rays, but we work on a 10 on a decimal system on this planet because we have 10 fingers and 10 toes. But actually 7 is the correct number here. So because we have 7 rays, we have 7 chakras.
Yes.
And I suspect, Peter, there's probably 7 elevated planets in the solar system.
Well, it's the sacred planets, the 7 sacred planets.
Yes. 7 sacred planets.
And we're a non-sacred. We're non-sacred.
Oh, really? Yeah. What a surprise.
And Mars as well.
Mars is non-sacred.
Yes.
And, of course, we have 7 days of the week and we have 7 colours of the rainbow. Is that reflecting the
ray structure?
The ray structure,
the rays.
Yes,
it is.
And, of course, each ray is an expression of a different type of energy, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
Can you just cover that quickly? Give us an overview of that.
These energies all come originally from the Ursula Major, which is the Great Bear, and the 7... They are the 7 rays that we talk about. That's where they're originally manifested from.
So, Peter, those 7 rays come from the 7 chakras in another great being.
Yes, the one about whom naught may be said is the God of our galaxy. And these 7 major centres of the Ursula Major are head centres in the one about whom naught may be said.
Okay, listeners, you heard it here first. There is a God of the galaxy. This is stuff. Now, interestingly enough, my dear friends, I was scooting through the Art of Cooperation last night and I found this statement by Benjamin Crem's master. The underlying purpose of all life is the creation of unity, thus expressing the interconnectedness of all atoms. Benjamin Creme says, this is the most extraordinary statement made by my master. Maitreya has also stated, as a fact of life, that all atoms are connected. We are part of that matter and of all atoms throughout cosmos. That interconnectedness, that lack of separation anywhere, makes it real, makes it manifest in your mind that if you see yourself as a soul, if you see the world as the soul sees the world, that is how it is. That is a staggering thing to say. He goes on to say space itself is a living entity, the source of our being, our mother and father. As souls, we know this to be so and seek to give expression to the fundamental unity of our nature. There's 2 pages here where Benjamin Creme, in The Art of Cooperation, talks about everything in cosmos. And I use the word cosmos because it's the biggest word I've got. You know, galaxy, but it's beyond that. Everything in cosmos is connected.
Welcome back to Emergence News, and we started off discovering more about John the communicator and Peter the scientist, and look where we ended up. Peter, before we go, could you give us a preview of what we are looking at on the next episode of Emergence News?
Yes, well, I was intrigued by this program. It's in the Share International magazine, and it's called Unravelling the Mystery of Life, Life Energy. And it's about how the energy that we're talking about, how everything that manifests has a cause behind it, and it has the spiritual input which creates eventually the dense physical world that we know. But it didn't start as the dense physical world. It started as the idea. It started as the thought, the energy, the subtle energies that the Asian people know all about, the chi that manifests in our human body. And, it's sort of unknown in many Western ways of thinking in the scientific world, perhaps. But this guy is bringing through the idea that everything starts on the subtle level and comes down and condensed on the physicality. And as John was talking about before, bringing it all together is realising the future of humanity is understanding that the spiritual starts first, the idea starts first, and then the physicality comes from that.